Is what showing reversed? I mean, I can read everything if that's what you mean. No, it's like normal.
you know I want it deep inside. Free your mind, and I'll take you for a ride and make you wanna call my name. I am the reason that you feel like you're alive. Call for me, I'll keep you breathing. You'll be my heartbeat parasite. It's alright, let your notice side come out and touch me. Scream all night, that's what I like. You'll be my heartbeat parasite. Oh, my heartbeat parasite. My heartbeat parasite.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Vigo's Court. I'm your host. I'm your judge, Judge Rambo, standing in for Vader. Tonight with me, I have Counselor Q. Q, how you doing?
Hey, what it do? What it do? I am excited. We've got preseason. I guess this is officially kicking off then, right? We had the
Kinda.
preseason tournament, and then now we have like the preseason. I guess this would be like the equivalent of like week 2 then, or something. But I'm excited. We've got a good matchup tonight. I can't wait.
I'm stoked too. We got DKD versus Demise. You know, we haven't actually seen Demise in here before. This will be their debut matchup, and then DKD. The last time we saw them, they didn't have the best of matches against Arctic Wolves. So I'm excited to see what they have to offer.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was against Arctic Wolves, right? They were able to they made a lot of they were able to kind of show a lot of dominance, I think, throughout the kind of first portion of the tournament there. So I definitely wouldn't count them out yet. I'm sure they're probably, waiting to kind of get back into the mix a little bit. They're like, you know what? We didn't have the performance we were looking for last round. Let's go ahead and we still got one more time to kind of get it right before we actually head into the season itself,
Yeah, absolutely. So today we're going to be playing on a map not typically seen in comp. Do you want to go ahead and talk to us a little bit about that map?
Yeah, actually, it's really funny. You're talking about, we got Batum Preschool 4, right? It is the Springwood realm. So it's got 140 square tiles, basically 9,000 square meters. Most people are like, what does that really mean? So basically it means it's a little bit different size of the map. You have a minimum of 7 hooks, a maximum of 12 hooks. I think the thing that's going to be challenging, I think, especially for a lot of killers coming into the Springwood realm when it's not their home field, they're not practicing on a lot, is there's a lot of tougher loops for killers, right? You've got the big building as far as the school itself. Even the 2-story can be pretty tough. Also, there's this little 1-story house. Some people call it the House of Pain. It has that nickname for a reason. So it's gonna be really important for killers coming out. Like, you have to understand immediately when to drop chase in an area that you should be going into. That way you're staying on top of continuing pressuring, the people in areas where you can get some downs relatively quick.
Yeah, and all those staired areas, you got the double downstairs. That's what I call it, at least. Is that what you're referring to as the House of Pain?
So the House of Pain, you have where you got the 1-story that goes in the basement, and then the other one's the 2-story. But yeah, that House of Pain, because you've got so many different window options, it's just insane. It's an insane loop.
Anything with stairs is bad for the killer. It's always bad for the killer.
Yeah, and then they, I think relatively recently, I've had a couple of times where sometimes you can get some interesting 3, 4, and once I've even seen a 5-gen situation where it was kind of actually around House of Pain area, but we kind of see where a lot of maps will sometimes offer that. We see same thing with Suffocation Pit, where sometimes you can get some really unique gen setups. So I think the big thing is kind of like recognizing early where you want to set up your mid to late game at, and just kind of making sure that you're controlling those gens. That way you can establish like a good late game, because Batum Preschool, like you said, it's not a map that we generally see in comp. Part of the reason is because it's one that's hard to establish like a lot of momentum as a killer. So you got to make sure you can set yourself up in the late game to have like a strong overall performance, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, give me a moment. You go ahead and keep
No, you're
talking
good.
for
You're
a
good.
minute.
Yeah, the other thing too, you know, on Batum that can sometimes be interesting is so you've got your like really big tiles, like I said, like we kind of talked about, not only just your house of pain, but especially around the school. And you'll have some killers that will opt to like not break down the broken walls on either side because it does kind of contain your survivors into like bigger loops, so that way they have to kind of like you have more time to catch up to them if they happen to like not be hugging walls tight and kind of be going, you know, wide around turns. But sometimes you'll also see killers kind of allow themselves to have quick outs out of like both sides. That way they can bail out of chase and kind of, again, put that pressure off onto your other gens and some of your other survivors too. Because I really feel like any of the Batums, but especially on 4, it's really easy to catch yourself getting into like a 60, 80, 120 second chase.
Right. Well, and the only reason we included 4 is because out of all of the Batums, it seemed to be the most balanced, which is kind of a stretch to say for any Batum.
Right.
Is that it's balanced. But at least it's not pallet heavy, which is the concern with most of them.
Yeah, I think 4, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's like 2 or 3 that sometimes has the infamous like triple pallet along the
Yeah, at the end of the street.
yeah, that
Yeah.
sometimes spawns there.
Yeah.
That you always see memed around on the internet. So yeah, I do again though, I think the thing that's gonna be really interesting is I think seeing the killer selection from most of these teams coming in on Batum, because you would imagine you're probably going to be saving more of your meta killers for more of your like, I guess you can say typical like competitive maps.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like most of the time when people are coming into Batum, I think the big thing is going to be like you never know what killer's coming out. You can probably take out a couple that are like the low, like maybe your 4/4 killers, maybe you take out, except for like maybe Hag possibly, but.
Right.
I feel like we're going to see a lot of different things switching up, especially today. Obviously, you know, each team's going to bring out 2 different killers. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 4 different killers altogether.
So what killers do you think we're gonna see? What are those 4?
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I feel like it's a good map for Freddy, not just because it's home field advantage, but because of the teleportability. Obviously, allows you to, you know, work some of the bigger loops a little bit better. Also, the ability to pre-put down some of your puddles, let's say when you are going into the basement to check on the generator at school and stuff like that, to kind of allow you to build or to close that distance on those people a little bit faster. I know I said no 4/4 killers, but I mean Huntress wouldn't be terrible, especially because around those bigger tiles, if you do the double hatchet, so you have less cooldown in between hit applications, you know, you can kind of allow them to build less distance. So that I would be surprised to see that one
and
come
I
out.
see a Huntress, I get excited. I'm like, oh, we're going to the 2-story house. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I think especially, I definitely wouldn't expect to see Slinger, especially now with his increase in his terror radius with the change.
Right.
I don't know, maybe like some clown too, because at least with the tonics, you'd be able to again take away the strength of the survivors being the bigger loops. You know, if you go with the clown, at least if you're efficient with your bottles, you can get your 4 off a quicker reload, especially after the rework. You know, he essentially has the yellow cork top now in his base kit, which is nice. So I would probably say a couple of those killers there. I wouldn't be surprised to see come out.
So who do you think comes out on top in this match?
Oh, you know, that's a really good question. I think solely because I feel like they're on the bounce back after their last performance. I think DKD kind of is going to show up today for a preseason game with a point to prove, not just to the competition but to themselves. So I think they're going to be the ones that come in, and I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be one of those that's going to go into the 4th trial where we're not sure who's walking away with it, but I think DKD pulls this out by a couple points, maybe like 4 or 5 points.
Well, I'm gonna have to lean with Demise, and my reasoning for that is, you know, Demise is a very strong team, and Demise is not actually their B team, but they are all friends and they all practice together. I find it hard to imagine that some of that doesn't rub off on
right.
on the other team. You know, I mean, even their logos are very similar. So
Right.
I'm gonna have to pick Demise here.
Yeah, I'm going to, I really like to, I'm going to be interested to see with Demise to kind of see. Obviously, you said it's their first appearance, but I feel like they're going to be coming in with like a lot of knowledge, kind of like we saw with once Arctic Wolves kind of started establishing a little bit of a presence in the competitive scene because they got the kind of the back. Um, the backstory and the training from the Golden Wolves who have kind of been around from the competitive scene for a while, right? And that kind of allowed them to ease their way into. I feel like it's one thing. It's like when you get into the competitive scene on DVD, like it's something that's like it's new, right? Like it's the same game as DVD as you play like in pubs and stuff, but it's a whole nother level of strategy and communication. I feel like when you start getting into the competitive level, so when you at least have a team that's very close to you that kind of help you prep for your first couple of games and getting used to it that way, I feel like it helps give you that little bit of an edge to help with that learning curve, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get one more good look at this map and kind of just refresh the memories of those who are just coming in. We're in the Springwood realm. The area of the map is 140 square tiles, or 8,960 square meters. It has a 7-hook minimum and a 12-hook maximum.
And also, you notice there it had a little diagram. It is more of just a straight rectangle because, of course, it has the buildings in it, right? So it's not like, say, a Groaning storehouse where it kind of has the choke points on the outside that you can kind of contain, or let's say in Azeroth's resting place, it has like the ice, like sort of tiles. So you have your 2 choke points. There's a lot of openness, no matter what exit you come out of on most buildings to where you can go. We mentioned you have 3 very strong loops, and then we didn't, that wasn't even counting the shack, which is normally a strong loop on no matter what map you're playing on. So
I'm a big player on Gen Order. That's one of the biggest things I look at whenever I'm doing a comp match. Oh, I guess we don't really have time to talk about this. Let's look at the killer rules. How about that?
I like it.
All right, so killers get their points from hooks. I do not know why this started in the middle of the video, but first and second hook are worth 2 points respectively. Third hook is worth 3 points. Should they die to the entity, they would get the corresponding hook and plus progressions, but if they were to die to, say, a Mori, they would only get the corresponding hook. Leadouts count for 0. There's 30 points available total. For whatever reason, this ended a little earlier. Oh, because it didn't play the first damn 10 seconds. Oh, Streamlabs. We love Streamlabs over here. It's our favorite thing in the world. So, yeah, I guess we're just gonna sit here and hang out for a second. How's the chat doing? How's everyone doing today? We got a first-time viewer here with Big Boy Ollie. What up, Ollie? Shout out. Welcome to Vigo's Court.
So we did talk about how today we're going to be seeing different killers, and obviously, like through this season, I think things are going to be different. Do you think anyone brings out like I guess you could say the meta 3? I know like Spirit just recently got a nerf that some people would say was more significant than other people would say, but do you think we see anybody trying to bring out like a nurse or Spirit in games 1 or 2 here?
I am gonna say I hope not. I think that's a waste of valuable preseason time.
Ooh.
Oh, did I just see a zombie? I'm pretty sure we're looking at a
Did
Nimmy.
just see a zombie, yeah.
We're looking at a Nimmy.
So we do see Ace here was able to spawn right in, and in typical behavior fashion, spawn right next to a glowy totem here. So we do see it. He is going to break that. That is going to be one of the totems gone. We also are going to see that corrupt intervention as well. Of course, the corrupt intervention is something you see a lot in the competitive scene, right? Like the last thing you want to do is give 4 very adept survivors, especially survivors who are in communication, access to all 7 generators right off the bat. Now we do see here, we're coming in, we're pushing the ace back up off of this generator. Ooh, we also have the Neo over here. So now you've been able to apply your status here to hey, wow, you're actually almost all the way up to tier 3. So actually moving along very, very good. This is going to be huge because now with every strike, you're going to be able to not only break the pallet, but once we get up to tier 3, going to be moving faster as well. Going to be good for working around some of your smaller tiles, kind of like we're seeing here, as well as like to be able to complete the resources, kind of like we see. Oh, plus 10, what to the face, get done, stupid. You love to see it. So we do see Nia here actually playing this very smart, right? So we've already broken the totem over on this side, but it did look like there for a while that we did have also a ruin in place. So staying over on this side of the map kind of allowed their team to kind of comb the rest of the area, find that ruin. It does actually look like that was broken here too. So at this point, we see the corrupt intervention just about ready to expire here. And we have gotten 1 generator complete. We do see across the way here, you know, one of those unique kind of interesting gen spawns. You can kind of see like a nice little 4 gen across the way. Wouldn't be surprised to see Dead Hard here, or I have Dead Hard here, maybe move across the way there, depending on the unhook sort of situation that we've got going on. We also see coming in into the ace here. So now you've got 2 injured survivors as well as a hooked survivor that's pretty well close. Definitely wouldn't be surprised to see the Nemesis. Yep, going to be coming back over towards the hook here, because at this point you have the ability to put a little bit more pressure, maybe be able to secure a second hook here as well. What especially seems that we have yet to see a second gen getting done. This is actually kind of strange to be in. Well, I guess I shouldn't say strange. We did see 2 survivors moved in, but that does make you think that probably of a 3rd survivor across the way. We're probably about 15-20 seconds out from seeing that second gen come in here. I think we're actually going to see a second hook stage forced here as well. Yeah, that's going to be it right there. That's actually going to be really big for our killer here.
So you think camping that first hook is essential?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty smart move, especially because you were able to get it over here on this portion of the map where you were able to get the 1 resource that's kind of like a dead zone, right? You were able to get rid of the shack pallet. You were also able to get rid of the filler pallet right here. Now, especially at this point too, now you've got a slugged survivor. So now you're gonna be pulling both of those survivors off of any sort of gen work that they may be doing. You see that heal coming in across the way there on the ace. And now they're both gonna be having to move in, which is really good because you lost the pressure that you did have from your ruin there, right? Oh my goodness gracious, big hitboxes, gotta love it. Got the stun there too, but we did see the hit coming in. And since we have that gen getting in across the way, that's going to be big here for our killer, because now they know that the fully healthy survivor over there is going to be the ace. We have a Yui around the corner here that won't be able to get the save, so now it's going to be somebody dying on first hook. So now this is already a 3v1, and anybody who plays the game knows that like the game really changes sort of like the momentum the minute that you get this down to the 3v1 like we just saw. Now the interesting
thing is,
thing
camping out that first hook like all the way to death, do you think that's really the smartest move here? Especially,
I mean, so I think the big thing was once you saw the 2 survivors move in, right, and you were able to secure like a health state onto both of them. Like at that point, there's really no reason to leave your hook, because you know at that point you only have 1 healthy survivor who is more than likely across the map on a gen, kind of like the way we saw. So now that means your 2 survivors are either left at, let me try and make a double play towards the hook while we have 2 people injured, or they're going to have to retreat across the way, heal, which then means you've secured your second hook state, and now they're both going to be moving in for, you know, you're now going to have 2 healthy survivors moving back in. They're really feeling the pressure at that point because, you know, they're now on death hook. So I think that was a really smart play, especially again with Batum being a map that's generally kind of more survivor sided, being able to secure, not only get to the second hook, but then once you're able to kind of get the slug and get this to a 3v1, that's huge on a map like that in preschool.
Yeah, I have to agree. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, so now we see here, right? So we've got the 3 hook states that were on the survivor that got eliminated. You've got the fresh hook on the survivor that's on the hook, and then 1 other survivor that's already been hooked here as well. So now the only person that hasn't been hooked, if I'm not mistaken, should be this Ace here. He is the only healthy survivor, but by running into the only healthy survivor, you know that the only way that Yui's more than likely going to be getting healed is by going in for the save. So right here, you've kind of got this nice little snowball of pressure here. You've got 1 person on a hook. You were chasing 1 person being the Ace, which usually means the 3rd person is having to come up off of the gens and push in here for the actual unhook itself. But it does look like we actually have the heal coming in on the Yui. Not sure if that was a self heal with a med kit, or if maybe Ace was able to link back up with the Yui before moving into the save here. Definitely a smart move coming in here, coming back towards the hook. You do see the unhook was able to come in just before going into the 2nd stage, which is big. And now we see here our killer is going to be following the Ace because the Ace is the fresh hook. Now by getting the fresh hook out, or not fresh hook out, but getting the fresh hook out of the way here, it again allows you to kind of start your progress. You really want to get as many points as you can. The last thing you want is someone fresh, walking out the front door, whether it be on a gate play, which probably isn't happening in this case, or sometimes you might see the hatch play come the end game. And at least now at this point, you don't have anybody getting down the fresh hook, so that's going to be big for you.
Yeah, I was noticing on that loop just now, that Ace was kind of in a lose-lose situation. He drops the pallet, the whip comes out, he goes down, or he doesn't drop the pallet, and as you see, he gets hit and goes down as well.
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing is. Yeah, that's the big thing about early pressure on Nemesis, right? Because we saw here our killer was able to get, before they even had a hook, they already had 3 survivors who were already had a little bit of an infection. So the more you start to spread it, then especially if you can get that 2nd whip real quick and really start spreading that power, not only do you put them at the lose-lose situation like at the pallet, but then let's say even if they have a little bit of distance and they pre-throw the pallet, once you're at tier 3, like we're seeing here, you're able to run faster, you're breaking that pallet as you're basically zoning out your survivor too. So, I mean, just getting to see Nemesis coming out finally in the competitive scene has been really fun. We saw it a little bit over this last weekend, and I think did we see maybe 1 round during the preseason tournament of Nemesis maybe, but now teams have kind of really started to get to play around with them.
So far.
No, did we not? Okay.
Yeah,
I know we saw in DB.
Correct me, but I don't remember seeing one.
And I think one thing that teams are starting to notice with Nemesis is I think teams are realizing the value of the zombies were a little bit underrated, I think, by a lot of people, because it's a value that you don't actively see, right? Unless you're within the range where you can see like the aura of the zombie and chase, you don't really know when a zombie pushing somebody off a gen, pushing somebody away from a heal. Sometimes you get lucky and a zombie's, kind of doing a nice little face camp for you, hooking a brother up. So you have some kind of like extra additional slowdown, which is really good, like important for killers, especially because in the competitive scene, again, it's for very, very they're very strong survivors in comms. They've got a lot of things going for them. So by having an extra thing like a zombie, or we've seen the Cenobite starting to get introduced into some competitive scenes as well, having that extra slowdown like with the chain hunt, it helps add like a little extra something for the survivors that have to maintain and be able to juggle, which has been fun to watch kind of what strategies come out there. We just
saw Nemesis loop himself out out the double downstairs.
Yeah, coming out of the House of Pain there. I was actually gonna say I don't know if he was not following. I think that's kind of one of those things we were talking about though, right? Like the gen's already done over there, so why continue your chase? Went to go double check your gen over by Shaq, now coming over this way, gonna be able to get the hit through the pallet there as well, which is gonna be big. So now you see Ace gonna be able to make a little bit of distance, but isn't gonna be able to make enough. You have a little bit of a dead hard here, not gonna be able to make enough distance to get around the corner, and with the simple whip, down goes Ace. That's going to be hook number 2 on the Ace. That's going to be 9 stages already for our killer here. This is actually a very strong performance on Batum. Now, we do see generator number 5 getting done across the way. but it's right there, right? So it means now at this point you have a general idea of where the survivor is, and you are more than likely at least going to be able to, I was gonna say, keep track of some scratch marks here. So we see moving in here, we also see that haste status up there in the corner. That does mean that even though we have a healthy survivor, down on the ground goes Michaela, and that's now going to be a 4K here on Adam 4. That's pretty crazy. I mean, granted, like maybe even without the no-ed probably secures the 4K here, but this no-ed making the end game that much easier for our killer and wrapping things up there, that makes things really, really easy there. That's wow. I'm kind of at a loss for words, seeing not only 4K on Batum Preschool, but to see it on a newer killer coming out in the competitive scene like Nemesis. That's really impressive.
Yeah, that was a good showing from a Nemesis. Like, I was definitely not expecting to see a 4K from a Nemi, but you know, there it is. There was a Nemi 4K.
Yeah, a 4K, and that was even with, you know, losing both the Ruin and the Undying before. I mean, what, before I think the first gen was complete when the second totem broke, but that was it. You still had, you know, 4 gens up, and you already lost your Ruin Undying, and so basically ran that thing as a no perk Anderson after the 2 minutes of the corrupt intervention. That's insane.
Wait, was Corrupt up? I didn't notice Corrupt.
Yeah, Corrupt in the beginning there, and then the Ruin Undying. So once that Corrupt was up, you had no perks until that very last down with the no-ed. So literally ran most of the game with the Nemesis on Batum Preschool, perkless. Pulling out the 4K. That's wow. I know I have said I was expecting a big turnout right now by DKD. It's only game number 1, but like that's the good thing about like the best of 4 trial scenario, right? Two sets. First game maybe doesn't go the way you're planning, but you still got some time to pull things in here. You're just gonna need a very strong performance. I'm interested though, after seeing a 4K like that, I can't help but wonder if DKD maybe switches up the strategy at all, and maybe decides to bring out, you know, a stronger killer like a nurse or something, yeah, to be able to help me. I don't mean to toot my own
horn, but I think I kind of called the match we just witnessed, you know?
That's fair. Yeah, I mean you were able to get all 5 gens. I think the big thing that was really tough was not only was our killer there for Demise able to get the early down, but the big thing was by staying in the area to try and secure the second hook state, which we talked about earlier on, was definitely the move, especially on a map like that. I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of people go for that type of strategy. But in the process of that, being able to you were able to change 2 more health states. And especially I would have to imagine, by the way that things played out, the third player who was fully healthy, I think, was on the gen back across behind the school. So at that point, it makes the second hook pretty much guaranteed. And then again, you were able to get the down and keep the slug there to force the third stage. I mean, just a very strong early game by our killer.
Yeah, it was also nice to see the upside of Nemi. I don't generally see good Nemesis, so that was interesting to say the least.
How would you make Nemesis plural? Nemesi? Nemesis? Nemesises?
I just call them Nemi. In fact, here in the house we've started calling them Nemi Lovato, so
oh, I love it.
Which Haunted Lumi has already said in the chat earlier, Nemi Lovato, but you know, she's my roommate, so that makes sense.
I would you know, I think one thing that was kind of interesting was after seeing the first person get forced into second stage there, like, I understand wanting to prioritize gens at least a little bit, because obviously if you don't prioritize gens, maybe they don't even finish the 5 gens, right? But I also can't help but wonder if you get off of the gen across the way and you come across and at least make the play to get the unhook, is that little bit of time sacrifice, even if they get tunneled. Because once you go into second hook, you have to basically assume the person coming off hook's going to get tunneled off, right?
Absolutely.
But since you're right there, are you at least able to buy a little bit of time to either make it to the House of Pain, which was relatively close, or make it over to the 2-story, which wasn't too far away either? And I feel like with a three-person team that's coordinated, they probably could have made that happen, and then maybe been able to pull the reins back as far as the momentum a little bit there. But again, at the same time, like also I 100% understand like the thought process of, hey, let me at least put one person back here on gen because I need to at least make sure I guarantee my gen points before end game starts, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I you know, any type of point control is always good. You know, the bigger the lead, the easier it is moving forward. So it might have been nice to see a little more gen pressure, but I mean, looking at a 14-point lead just coming out of the first trial, that's pretty substantial. That's half, a little less than half what you're capable of getting as a killer. So I'd say that's a solid performance.
I think the big thing here for DKD when you're coming out is you're at it, like obviously like 4K at 5 gens complete on Springwood is very hard. So I don't think that you worry so much about trying to match that. But if you can at least I think you'll probably see something similar, try and force a earlier elimination and get yourself maybe a 2 and like maximize your hook count, maybe get like a 2K with like 8-9 hooks, minimize the gap of your point spread going into set number 2. That way, you know, you can try and maybe set yourself up to where your survivors can come out and redeem themselves, you know what I mean, in trial number 4.
Yeah, and I mean, or go big or go home, sort of, you know, like try and get 12 hooks now, and if you can't get it now, then no, you still have one more match to kind of bring that in a little more, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that is definitely a idea. The one thing I always worry about swinging big, especially when trying to, again, when maybe you don't have the performance you were looking for in trial number 1, so now in trial 2 you're worried about trying to match that, is sometimes when you do try and do that, like, okay, I'm gonna come out and so this time I'm gonna 4K him, but I'm gonna 4K him on 4 gens. So then maybe you leave like an extra slug early that you shouldn't, you know what I mean? Or
Yes.
maybe you don't leave a hook too far because you're trying to secure an elimination when you could have gotten yourself, like we saw the Nemi in that last round, was able to go around both buildings, I think at one point, to secure hook health states because they're just trying to put more pressure out. That was smart pressure versus like, hey, I need to 4K this on 4K this type of pressure, you know?
Yeah. I mean, really, they don't have a choice. They have to come out in 4K, if not here in the next round, and then hold the killer to a decent, you know, some sort of 2 escape, 1 escape, something to that
like
nature.
1 escape with like 4, like with like 5 or 6 hooks sort of deal.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that's
but
the
I mean,
same
if they're
reason
coming
though
in,
why you don't like swing
realistically
heavy,
though, if they're coming in with a nemesis and getting a 4K,
yeah, it's
I'm
gotta
scared
make
to
you
see
worry
what's
about
next.
what else is coming out,
Yeah,
right?
I'm scared to see what's
100%.
next. I'm scared to see what's next.
The good thing though is I feel like that probably takes some pressure off your killer who's sitting in the wait now, knowing that, hey, now I kind of, maybe I can bring something else out and try it for like when next time I'm on Batum, you know, because maybe I have a little bit bigger of a lead because I have confidence in my survivors that they're going to be able to kind of maintain that lead that I set them up with in trial 1.
So who do you think takes it in this round?
Oh man, you know, so I when I had called the DKD thing before the trial, I think that was before the whole thing. So I think here is where we see DKD on the survivor side here, or on the killer side, I should say, come out. I think the killer's like, you know what? I'm gonna come out here. I'm thinking like a 3K is what I'm feeling. 3K with like 8-9 hooks is what I'm thinking.
Well, let's take a look at these survivor rules. Hopefully, this will play from the beginning the way it's supposed to. So first and second gen are worth 1 point each. Whole bunch of lag. There we go. Second and third gen are worth 2 points each. Third gen or fifth gen is worth 3 points. First escape is worth 1 point. Second escape worth 2 points. Third escape worth 4 points. Fourth escape worth 6 points. And getting out with 2 or more hook states remaining will get you an extra point. Survivors have a total of 26 points available. One of these teams must be a console team. You know? You're muted.
Oh, I do not. Are we experiencing a little bit more of like longer load in times? I know we're
Yeah.
having the infinite load bug even still sometimes on the rare occasion, but yeah, we also all together we have because I know Arctic Wolf has, or not Arctic Wolves, DMC has, I think, some EU players, right, too? Or no, am I tripping?
Well, DKD's all French. Oh, that actually might be what it is they're a French team, so it's taking a little bit longer.
Because you have some French, and I think you have, on Demise, I think you have some EU and then some NA East, I think, right? Just probably like some wide ranges, but we see an interesting pick coming out here, and I think the pick we're looking at, I think might be a good pick for what you talked about, right? Like swinging big, trying to go for the home run early, because Oni is a killer that we're gonna see here. You know, you normally on the competitive scene, Oni has kind of a little bit of a struggle in the early game, because obviously, like, you can't do anything with your power until you've established some health kits. Yeah, that was a very quick gen. That was actually probably a pair. Maybe wouldn't even be surprised to have seen that with being your person with the, oh no, wasn't the person with your toolbox, the person you're chasing is the person with your toolbox, and maybe even had all three there.
Yeah,
but now we do
must have had all three.
Yeah, had to have been. But we do see actually a very quick hit here. So what I was mentioning there before we saw that gen come in, normally one thing for Oni that's tough is you have to establish some entered states, be able to get your power, you know, going by being able to get some people to bleed, collect those orbs there. We do see, though, not only able to get a very quick health state change to be able to start working on building up that power, but actually seeing a very quick down here. So going to be seeing at this point Oni moving over towards our uncorrupt side of the map here, because we do have that corrupt intervention in play here for at least a little bit longer. So we do see now you're just going to be able to control this little gen. You have your couple of gens around here that have been able to be worked on. The 3 gens that are furthest from you just got uncovered from the corrupt intervention, so you're kind of okay if anybody's over on that side of the map currently working on gen. Oh, that's going to be a swing and miss.
Is that a 3 gen around Killer Shack? That is a 3 gen by Killer Shack.
That is a 3 gen by Killer Shack. The only tough thing is they have a lot of progress already on this generator that's outside of House of Pain, and even a decent 4 gen if you think about really kind of combining it with that basement here, right? Because it's kind of easy to get to the basement from where you're going. We do see the Oni now moving into the power. Was kind of trying to make the decision, am I going into the house after 1? Am I going around the outside like the 2 Trailer Park Girls? We do see, though, a nice little hit and a down on the Nia. Interesting to see the quick pickup here. Kind of wouldn't have been surprised to see him continue his power around, knowing that you had the Felix around, especially because, you know, being able to secure a second down would have really been able to help with your snowball. However, by getting out of the power when he did, you'll notice down there in that bottom left-hand corner, it does mean that our killer right now, Double Trouble, is that much closer to being back into his power. So nice little smart play. Really realistically, we do see that little 3-gen that you were talking about. Dub Trub's going to be able to continue putting some pressure on that here. We do see Claudette moving in for the save. Ooh, was a little impatient there. Might have been able to either force the 2-man save or at least force a second hook. Oh, that's going to be a swing and a miss. We see the Nia trying to set up with the body block, letting you know that the Nia probably has borrowed time. The only bad news is that at this point, you've wasted most of your borrowed time with the body block. Ooh, gets done stupid. Able to get a little bit distance. Plus 10 wood to the face. Nice pallet throw by Nia. Not sure I would have been wasting the time there with my power to break the pallet, but now at this point, we're going to see Dub Trub going away from the Nia, away from the House of Pain, now going towards the 2-story that you were talking about earlier. The 2-story, though, does offer a very, very tough sort of terrain to work around, especially with the limited turn radius while you're in your power here for the Oni. So wouldn't be surprised to see our Oni to go ahead and decide to, yeah, leave the area and go back and patrol the gens, especially because we do have that 3-gen here still intact, even though we've had 3 gens completed thus far. We do see our Oni now at this point continuing. I think our Oni is playing this the smart way, right? Like, it'd be easy to kind of break away from your 3-gen over here, try and rush some hooks because you're at 3 gens complete already and you've only secured 2 health states, and those were 2 unique health states, which does mean that you don't have anybody on death hook at this point.
I do kind of feel like the survivors made a little bit of a mistake here by pushing all their pressure to his 3-gen. You know?
Yeah, the one thing that is going to be good for you, though, is by doing that, especially against an Oni who, needs you to be bleeding to collect power. The instant you start bleeding here, you do have the option to go to the complete opposite side of the map for a reset. So then that now makes the Oni have to make a decision of, especially while you have 4 people in the trial like we have right now, do I want to continue chasing a injured survivor into the, basically at this point, half of the map that has no active gens to be worked on, or do I stay over here and continue to put that pressure on the gens? It could potentially lead to a longer game because we have a lot of patience by both sides. But I think you see a lot of teams in the competitive scene kind of start to play themselves, especially when you see, like, say someone getting in the middle of a 3-gen. You might as well at least guarantee yourself the generator points while you still have 4 people in the trial. If that makes sense?
Absolutely. It's always struck me as not the best, especially this is a strong 3-gen. This is a very easy 3-gen to work. So it's always struck me as kind of, not the smartest idea to, at least, because I mean, technically you still got the 3-gen with the House of Pain, right? So
Yep.
One of this little triangle he's got going on here, I think I would have pushed my team to pop one of these. That's just me personally.
Yeah, I mean, we did see at the one point, the one outside of House of Pain had, I think it was at like 50-ish% towards the beginning, and we do see this one here has got a decent amount of progress. Unfortunately, we just happened to have had a couple of times where we've had a survivor, whether it be on this hook or the other one a little bit closer to the 2-story. I think we had somebody on earlier, where our killer has been able to apply a kick and then be able to kind of just stay in the area, So even though the couple of times we have seen some kicks that have just been regular, they've just been your regular dry kicks, but since you're able to stick around the area, it doesn't matter if you don't have pops on those kicks because you're able to kind of stick around and keep people off them. So eventually they're going to regress back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It just feels like they've kind of, oh, and I spoke incorrectly. There goes a gen finally. Now I feel like this is a bit more this is easier to manage from here.
100%, especially because that was the one that basically breaks the chain between the House of Pain and your gen here right outside of Shack, right? Because if you would have lost the one that our Oni's looking at right there, you still would have had the 3 that you were talking about, the one he's heading towards, the one that popped, and the one right outside of Shack there would have still been a decent little 3-gen. At least you take your spread a little bit, and you kind of pull it apart a bit for yourself. The other thing that's nice is by leaving the House of the Pain gen. It is a generator that the Oni is going to have to take the time to, go into the basement, work around the pallet that's down there, take time away from the top side of the map if they want to go down there and pressure it, which then takes pressure off of the 2 gens that are, basically right inside here. So we see another, we do see another hook though, really quick. At this point, we've secured 6 states here. Would be 7 if we were to get the sacrifice. If they were to just simply say get the finish the generators and get out. Oh my goodness gracious, that's Claudette coming out right in front of an Oni. That's going to be a down there. That means you can probably assume, I was gonna say assume the last person is downstairs getting that done. We do see scratch marks here at this point, so that means we are going to be able to go for the slug. You have to I'm actually kind of confused. I was gonna say, why aren't we picking up these orbs here? That way you can get close to your power. There you go. This is huge. Now at any point, once Double Trouble here is able to locate the Felix, we'll be able to pop the power and get the snowball rolling. Actually like this play here. I'm gonna go ahead and go for the pickup because now you can kind of patrol your 2 hooks while also patrolling the 1 door that is right behind your hook. I think the other one actually might be behind the school. So got yourself a nice little setup here. We see the sacrifice coming in. That's gonna be a 2K.
Oh, swing and a miss.
It's a swing and a miss. We see the deliverance coming in across the way too with the broken status there. That's gonna be big. That's going to be really big here because now you can split your doors here. Ooh, that's a down. The question is, does the Deli player have the potential DS? Not surprised to see the slug here because that combo is a combo that you see linked together quite a bit. The Deli DS here. We do see Double Trouble moving in over this way. You are now knocked out of your power, but you're over here and you've located some scratch marks and you can see that this door is yet to be started. So unless we have an unbreakable in play here, as long as you can play that patient, ooh, with the no-head hit, nice little play. It looked like Felix trying to play a little bit greedy here. Now is going to be the big question. So we have not seen Hatch yet. Maybe, just maybe, our Claudette has gotten lucky. I think it's the Claudette that's left, right? Yeah, the Claudette has gotten lucky and has located the Hatch. The bad news is we still have a whole health state left here. Now, with the current state, if you just happen to let 2 hook states go, or, without hitting a skill check, it does close that and Hatch pops up. But it does look like Double Trouble here is going to basically just do a little mini count out, right? Make sure that you don't have to worry about the DS, which would then mean you don't have to worry about someone getting up off of their feet, maybe potentially making a play towards a hatch after a elimination, after a sacrifice across the way, because we do see the 3rd elimination coming in, and there is the 11th hook. Going to have the 12th hook coming in off of progression. Chat, I'm not sure what resolution y'all are watching this in, but that does indeed look like a 4K to me. Able to come out, like you said, swing for the fences, and matches it with the 4K at 5 gens complete.
Now looks like we have a... Looks like we have a 1 point difference. Yes, a 1 point difference.
Wow. So looking really good right now. Kind of surprising, right? Like, I feel like
Yeah.
even on draft night when we saw the Batum pick come in, we kind of figured that, Batum is one of those maps that's typically a little survivor sided, or at least so we thought. I mean, we've seen 2 4Ks so far. But it's interesting seeing 2 4Ks from 2 killers that you really don't see much in competitive DB. Obviously Nemesis being newer, but we also have Oni as a pick. I was kind of talking about there in the beginning of that trial pick. You generally don't see a lot of teams going for because the early game is really tough, right? You've got to kind of start the snowball with getting a couple hook states, which generally in competitive DBD you see teams playing very passively. They don't care about throwing Shag Pallet at 5 gens, right? And instead we see, here our killers did a really good job with Oni being able to build that pressure early there and being able to build it on a map that you would normally not see Aoni do too good on. So we've seen two really good killer maps so far, two killer performances so far, and now I'm really intrigued to see what kind of killer we have come out here in trial number 3. What do you think?
I think you come with the heat here. I think you're 1 point down, you know. You're not going to get to kill again after this. This is definitely go big or go home territory. You need to outperform them enough that your survivors can take the win home. So I'm excited to see. I don't know. I'm gonna say we see a nurse or a spirit or actually nurse would probably be best on this map, truthfully.
Yeah, I like I like the nurse pick here, especially if you are trying to come out and prove a point, right? Like you had their killer come out and make a statement in trial number 1. You bounced back in trial number 2. Now you do have the chance in trial 3 to kind of set the pace, set your survivors up for a little bit of redemption come trial number 4. Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to I wouldn't be surprised to see like a nurse, or again, I still like the idea of a potential Freddy play. Again, just because you have the
Freddy,
ability to traverse the map, you know. But I do also think that you know, nurse wouldn't be a bad pick, especially because you have a lot of loops that are generally a little tougher to navigate around, and obviously nurse breaks like all the rules of DBD ever. So like, why not use her on a map that's usually a little bit tougher to control as a killer? I do think though.
I wonder what Demi thinks. I think Demi thinks that we're gonna see Demi.
You know, Demogorgon wouldn't be bad just because you can kind of set up as you're establishing a little bit of like early game pressure. It's not necessarily like a trapper or hag sort of setup time, right? You can kind of set up as you go. You don't have to collect traps. You don't have to lay all 10 of your web or anything like that. So Demogorgon could be fun, especially because, you know, I would like to see at least a couple more Demogorgon games before he's completely taken out of the shop, and maybe we potentially start seeing even less potential of Demogorgon in the competitive scene. Yeah, I don't know. This third game though, I feel like if I'm the survivors right now, you know, you're probably sitting together, you're probably in some comms trying to have a little bit of a discussion here. You realize that you played yourself into a tough 3 and 4 gen both situation there into the mid and late game of that last trial. Maybe realize that if you can do a little bit more, like maybe whether it be like scouting or just kind of having a little bit more of a heads up about what generators are getting done, and set yourself up for a better mid to late game, then that allows your survivors to maybe get a 1, 2, maybe even a 3 escape, which then, you know, puts things in favor of your killer heading into trial number 4.
I'm calling it now. It's gonna be a nurse. I'm just saying.
Be a nurse?
It's gonna be a nurse.
I like it.
Yep.
I like it.
It's nurse. I know Demo disagrees, but me and Demo don't see eye to eye.
Oh man.
All right, it looks like we're all set to go. Or are you gonna say Q?
No, I was just gonna say I'm gonna be interested to see though once we do get to regular season, because like right now, like during preseason, it's just where they can't use the same killer twice in the same like matchup. But once we get into a regular season where the killer pool is very select, I feel like Batum is, again, I feel like Batum's going to be one of those where when we come to Batum, I don't think we watch meta killers. I think this is where you see people bring out.
Interesting fact about this specific Batum pick here is that this is not their first choice map. This is their second choice map. Their first choice map is Coal Tower. So assuming that desync gets fixed on the McMillan maps, we're gonna see Coal Tower with DKD and not Batum.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
So cross our fingers. Let's hope that's fixed in the next 2 weeks. I doubt it, but let's hope.
Well, we have another hot fix coming out next week, so
Oh, is that
You know,
confirmed? I haven't seen news on that.
I thought they had said that, or I thought I had heard somebody saying that in a chat today. During the days, I'm usually like lurking and working, so I try and keep kind of an ear down to the ground. I thought somebody had said because there's one hot fix that came out today.
Yesterday.
Right. Yes, yesterday. And then there was some stuff that was not addressed that they said I think the third, second. Yeah, second, which would be next Tuesday, was a date that was
Okay, good.
thrown out there. Which would be nice. The only worry is I don't know how much like they know about the desync issues. Like obviously, like I know a lot of the competitive scene's known because
Oh, as the guy who runs the league, I've sent them like 6 messages, like, "Yo,
Yeah.
when you gonna fix this? Yo, when you gonna fix this? Yo, when you gonna fix this?" And in the last message, I got a response that they're aware of the issue. So we'll see. Let's check out some of these bans. Let's see what we got banned here. So, oh, wonderful. Not gonna see the whole video.
Ooh.
So we got items and add-ons, yellow or below. There's no haunted ground, no prove thyself, no starstruck. Killer uses are limited, but we are in preseason, so that doesn't matter too much. Survivors are limited to only one of each character, so you can't see 4 Claudettes running around. Violations are subject to penalties. And if you'd like to know more about rules, don't hit !rules because I have not set that up in Nightbot yet, but it will be coming today because I just remembered that I need to do that. So I'm on it. Don't question me.
This is why we have the preseason and work the kinks out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
It's
yeah,
not just the players here that are making sure that they're, getting ready for the regular season. That goes for us here on the desk. That goes for everything on the back end too.
Absolutely. All right. Looks like we're just about loaded in.
Yeah, hopefully some of the loading issues do get fixed with the next one, because I do know, especially just like when it comes to like public games and like just or like the player base, especially like last gen consoles, apparently it's very, very tough for them. So interesting
Blighty baby
interesting
boy.
choice here for the blight. I like the idea of the blight because the blight gives you the ability to traverse the map, but we talked about you have the 3 bigger loops, right? We have the House of Pain, which we're currently working around right now. We've got the school and we've got the 2-story house, and then we've got the shack as well. And really all 4 of those tiles, I wouldn't say are notoriously bad for blight, but they're notoriously not strong for blight, right? So maybe we do see here, maybe we see a killer, maybe for that reason, going with the blight, just kind of trying to hone in on some extra flicks and tings before the season actually starts. We do see Double Trouble here moving into the 2-story, though, making the way. We did see the Felix, I think, and the Ace were both here, possibly. We do see, though, gets done tope, plus 10 wood to the face. Of course, we do have the ability with the blight to use the power to be able to break the pallets if they want to, which does mean that they have the ability to deplete resources a little bit quicker than, say, your traditional M1 killer. Do see a little bit of a zone out there with the flick, but it looks like we might have actually had well, I guess that probably wouldn't have been a 99 sprint burst this early, but we do see a little bit of a use there, able to build some distance, working now around the. That was actually a really nasty flick around the van. You love to see the hit there. Those were actually some of the tiles I was going to talk about too. Some of the smaller filler pallets are also not necessarily the strongest for a blight there. That's a tough non-collision there. So an interesting pick. I like the ambition. I like the thought process here. We do also see the Blighted Crow add-on, which is going to be the green one to help you with your speed, also help you with your recharge, and the yellow one there. Normally we see a lot of kind of killers going to the double speed add-on, though. Kind of surprised to not see the double speed, because I feel like probably part of the reason you went for the blight here was the ability to traverse your map, and I feel like the double speed add-ons probably helps you with that. Also around Batum, since you are working around a couple of your tighter corners, maybe could have used a like a compound 31 to help you with your auras, maybe even. So kind of a interesting aura duo there. Oh, unfortunate swing and a miss, and we also have a blind coming in across the way. We are definitely seeing a little bit different pace of a game here, right? Seeing we haven't had a hook established here. We do already have a generator complete as well. And now at this point, it's just going to be up to Double Trouble to try and establish a little bit of a presence and get a little bit of a snowball going here in the mid game, because we actually see a second generator getting done now on that shack side of the map. So it does look like our survivor team is doing a better job moving in as far as trying to get their generator spread going here.
It actually looks like the survivors are going balls to the wall more than the killer is, even though we're seeing a strong killer in Blight. It seems like the survivors are being a little more risky and trying to take it home on their end before they end up on killer.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart idea. We've seen them playing a little bit more patient. We saw them come out, probably didn't have the performance they were looking for in the second trial here. And especially knowing that we saw a strong performance as far as from their survivors in trial number one, knowing that you want to kind of set up your killer in a decent spot here. Wouldn't be surprised to see these killers or the survivors here at this point. Yeah, I was gonna say work together here, kind of do a looping with friends sort of deal, especially around the 2-story, which is generally a tougher tile to work anyways, because that's going to put some pressure on the killer. Right now you make the decision of, do I want to work this very strong tile with two survivors here that are probably working, moving in for body blocks and stuff, or do I want to put pressure onto generators elsewhere on the map? We do see now, though, with Double Trouble looking across here, we do have a generator we're right next to here. It sounds like about 50, 60%. But we do have a potential for another decent little, I guess you can call it 3-4 gen setup. Oh, slapped him with the D. You love to see it. Drop it. That's going to be a little bit of a prolonged chase here with the Claudette. Actually looks like Double Trouble now. And instead opting to go back to, which way are we going, homie? Instead, now we're going to be, I think this is actually the Nia we came back over here to, which is kind of a surprise. I feel like after you eat the decisive strike, generally you do see killers opt to continue with the tunnel since you no longer have to worry about the decisive strike. But now at this point, just going to have to try and get the downs that you can, especially because we do see that heal came in on Claudette across the way. We've got a down Felix here in a pallet space. Now is going to be that point here where I wouldn't be surprised to see the slug left here, because now you've got to build a little bit of a snowball in this mid game.
Yeah, this
No.
Blight choice isn't seeming like the best of choices, like you illustrated early. Oh, and then the DS. Oh man.
No, that one was a pallet save there. Was that a power struggle play? Or did we have a second
Oh,
player? And did we have a second player that was around? But that was a pallet save there. That was very, very clever. Unfortunately, not able to make very much distance though. And that's still going to be hook number one onto the Felix.
I was very confused, but yes, it clearly had to be a pallet play because he hadn't even been hooked yet.
Yeah, and again, I doubt that that's a flip-flop power struggle play, because I highly doubt anybody's coming into a comp match with that combo there. So there was probably a survivor somewhere close, and that's got to make Double Trouble here feeling a little uneasy, knowing that he had someone that was close for a pallet save, which means someone's probably relatively close. Yeah, there's the unhook coming in right there. We also see that we've had 4 generators complete already. We do see, oh yeah, borrowed time hit coming in there too. That's going to be big. Wouldn't be surprised to see the tunnel continued onto the borrowed time player, since you do already have a health state on them. No, instead actually going on to the ace here. I think that is going to be a missed opportunity, going to be an unfortunate one, especially because now we're going to see the Blight taking off into this portion of the map where we don't even have a generator to defend. And we've got 3 survivors now, or at least 2 of them, working across the way here, at least working on 1, if not 2 of those generators. I think that Blight pick, like you were talking about, I think this might have been a situation where maybe felt a little bit confident after
Yeah.
trial number 2. And it was like, oh, let me come out with Blight. I know it's not a strong Blight map, but let me come and try and, crank some sweet 90s, dude, around this truck. And instead, we have let the we've really let things swing in the survivor's favor here.
It's crazy to think that two of the weaker killers did better than a top tier blight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think though that part of that is I think speaks volumes as far as like some of the uniqueness of just the map itself. Ooh, we do see a 5th generator getting done, and that means that's actually going to be a adrenaline play onto the Felix there. And then we also see, oh, what did second wind become after the change? I can't even remember what it was changed to, but we did see that the save was actually from a pull. It was not from a deliverance, which does mean here shortly that ace should also be healed back up to full health. That should be, as I say, coming across in the next second or two here. So the only person that is injured is going to be the Felix. The Felix working around this very, very tough loop of the 2-story here. We see the down coming in, but we do have a Claudette close. Ooh, not able to get the blinds though. Should be able to get the hook here. That is hook number 2. Would not be surprised to see our blight at this point basically just secure up the elimination, and wouldn't be surprised to see our survivors take they got the door actually right here out. Oh, this could be bad. You've only got 2 survivors here. That means you've got somebody already potentially close for the save. Yeah, you're gonna force the one out there. You've got an ace, but the question is, where's the Nia? The Nia's right there for the save. If the Nia's got borrowed time, you should have enough time to get to the door here. No, and we've already seen the decisive strike, so that should mean at this point, I would have just went ahead and picked up the slug, to be perfectly honest, because they're already on death hook. But not surprised to see them go and just push these people out the door. You're going to want to make this quick though, because the last thing you would want would be an unbreakable play here. But we do see the 3 going out the front door, currently at 4 hook states. As long as you're able to secure your slug here, again, shouldn't have to worry about the DS since you did eat that earlier. And that will be 5 hook states with the 1K here. So a very strong. Ooh, that was actually a really tough. That could have been a hatch play had our slug maybe moved the
Kind of should
opposite
have been,
way.
huh?
Yeah, I don't know if they probably weren't able to hear it because when they were down and then the truck was between them and there, so they were just kind of moving towards the door. But tough because if they probably would have had enough time to get over that hatch had that not been the case. But 5 hook states, I would say that's kind of more stereotypical of what we're probably going to be seeing on Batum, I think, once the regular season comes. Not sure if maybe we just had both survivors, teams come out and maybe feel a little bit too confident about the map playing on their side, maybe letting their foot off the gas a little bit in trials 1 and 2. We did see our survivors here for Demise though. They came out our killer here came out and no, I said that right. Their survivor team, they came out and had a very, very strong performance here. So now the pressure shifts, right? Like you kind of you fought back after trial number 1, put things in your favor. And then now, instead of it being a 1-point difference, we're looking at a 9-point difference going into trial number 4. Do you still have confidence in the fact that maybe we might see a nurse on Batum Preschool tonight?
No. I mean, maybe. I think you come out and you just control the game at this point, right? You got the lead by what, 9 points? You got a 9-point
Yep.
lead. I mean, all you got to really do is get 2 out, and you're kind of gravy. So, depending on how that 2 out comes, but yeah, all you really need is a 2 out, and you're gravy.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what killer we have come out here, right? Because I mean, you kind of hit the point, funny enough, on the head there in that last trial, right? We had 2 killers that you typically don't see in comp. One because hadn't really been released in the comp yet, being the Nemesis, then the other one being the Oni, which I feel like the Oni was a very risky play because Oni's kind of known for being a killer that struggles in the early game, and Batum kind of offers a strong early game to the killer and instead had a very strong performance there. So we saw Blight come out, had a little bit of a more struggle there. I think there we just kind of saw where our survivors were playing a little bit more patient. They didn't allow really the snowball of having somebody on hook, having somebody off the gen going for the save, and somebody in chase really ever start to build up, which just allowed them to maintain control of that thing from the word go. But now, heading into trial 4, you know, again, I think this is where at least you have the benefit of the fact that it's preseason, right? Because, again, I think normally, at least when we come into a regular season, I don't think Badham's a school that, or Badham's a school, Badham is a school, Q. I don't think Badham Preschool is going to be a map that we see killers or see teams opt to bring meta killers because of some of the challenges that it presents. So I think even though you're looking at a situation right now where, hey, maybe I could bring out a nurse and maybe feel, or, you know, come out with a meta killer like a nurse, I should say, and feel like I'm in a good position. I also feel like right now you have the option of, hey, let me come out and let me brush up on an M1 killer that I'm eventually going to need to use anyways, right? Whether it be on Badham or on another map at some point during the season. But if you can do it that way, at least you got some practice on one of your not stereotypical comp killers.
Right. So I want to take a second before we get into this next match, and I kind of want to look at, you know, the map one more time and kind of analyze further why we are on Badham Preschool. We are in the Springwood realm. It has 8,960 square meters, a 7-hook minimum and a 12-hook maximum. And of course, this is DKD's home map, but it's not their main home map. Their main home map is Coal Tower, which they're not able to use right now over desync issues. So what makes you feel like this is not a map designed for meta killers?
It's not so much that it's not designed for meta killers. I just feel like when you look at over the course of this season, and I've got to only use my killers twice, right? I feel like you're going to want to make sure that the 6 to, and we'll call it 6 to 8 games, because I feel like there are some teams who either won't feel that good about Spirit, but maybe still feel about 1 or 2 of like the next 3 after the meta 3. Whether it be, you know, Twins has kind of been a killer that's kind of started to rise to the top as more people start to play Charlotte and Victor. Wouldn't be surprised to see Pinhead be one of those as he gets to be released a little bit more, because I feel like his whole additional slowdown with the chain hunt is different. But I feel like you're going to want to bring out your meta killers more on, you know, the coal towers, the suffocation pits, the Azarov resting places, the wrecker's yard, the places where like they can really shine because you can only use them twice, right? Whereas a Badham Preschool, like we just saw, gave a blight where a blight should normally be able to, I shouldn't say should normally, but we typically see blights are the killer that, you know, a lot of times are securing 7 to 10 hooks, 2 to 4 Ks, and instead you come out on a map that offers a lot of tiles that are harder for, or that are bigger, so they're harder for a killer to work around. So now you're not getting full optimization out of that killer, I guess is probably the best way of putting it. I would rather get like a 2-hook on Badham with, I don't know, let's just say Ghostface, than get a 5-hook with a blight, right? Even though the 2K is going to give, or the 2-hook's going to give me less points, but because I can more than likely get more than the difference of what I can get from the blight difference, or the difference I can get from the blight result versus the Ghostface result on, say, an ARP or a suffocation is bigger, if that makes sense.
No, it absolutely makes sense. I think at the end of the day, though, points are points. It doesn't really matter who you're getting them from and how you're getting them, you know? You need to get it's like the dumbest answer, but it really needs to be just get as many points as you can across the board. And how do you think that that's the best way to go about doing it? I may be saying things that are not in relation to what you're talking about because I truthfully wasn't really paying attention. So I
No,
apologize.
but I think it's a good point though, right? Because you're talking about like get the points in, we can fit them in. So like I think that's where some people though they will like, well, if I can use Nurse on Batum, then I'm more likely to get a second or a third kill versus where if I use Nurse on Wreckers, the chances of me not getting a 4K are very slim, right?
Right.
Whereas
let's real quick. I hate to cut you off. Let's go ahead and look at the penalty. Are we back? We're back now. We should be live. Things happened. Things went down. I don't know if we actually
I
made it
thought
into
that
the
was a
game or not.
perfect explanation of the rules, actually.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Things go down. Yeah, that's a primary explanation. I don't even know if we made it into the match or not. Oh, disconnected from host. Okay. So could that have been an infinite loading screen error, or I really have no clue what just happened. Are you even there,
If you
Q?
back, yeah, I'm here. So if you back out, does it show everybody else still in the match?
Let's find out.
Because it doesn't give you an option to spectate, right? Because it just disconnected.
It just shows everyone in match. We need them to get out.
Yeah, if you can ping somebody. So it looks like you probably had what happened was you had a hiccup in your internet,
Sounds like it.
which is why you had the disconnect on slobs.
I honestly think it was
Which
I think it was a problem in slobs and not a problem with the internet, truthfully. I think slobs was like, I don't think I can do this anymore, and just quit.
possibly.
So, while we're waiting, let's go ahead and look at these problems. I don't know what to do, so give me a moment. I'll be right back. Q, take it away.
So we'll take a second here, try and gather our teams. If we happen to have possibly maybe the survivors for our killer squad, if we have anybody that might be able to um ping the others just to kind of be able to help, that would be great actually. But this is going to be I'm kind of interested to see again, we're heading into trial number 4 here. We've got a 9-point difference. Had it was a 5 hook, I think it was. 1K in trial number 3. Really good job by our survivors to be able to pull things as far as into their favor there. As far as for Demise, it does look like we've got our survivors back into our lobby. Getting ready to re-queue up here. No fault restart. Going to be unfortunate. But sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all know this game's absolutely perfect and never makes any mistakes. I really don't know what was I really don't know which caused the failure though. I don't know whether it was the game, slobs, the internet. I really don't know which one caused the problem. So,
well, I know at one point I lost you in the Discord call for a second. So I don't know if it was maybe like I said, like a very brief weird
internet
hiccup. Yeah, which would
mean,
make sense as to why you didn't get into the lobby, whereas everyone else did. You know.
I mean, it showed we were in the lobby. That's where I'm a little confused. I was in the lobby, then it said we disconnected from host. So then I thought it was an error on their end. Who knows? Who knows? Again, Dead by Daylight, perfect. Nothing wrong ever happens. Ever. So, I'm scared to go to a rules video, but we're gonna try again. And, well, hey guys, there's penalties. You get penalties for lots of things. You can get penalties for bringing the wrong map. You can get penalties for not bringing offerings, bringing burned killers that you've used too many times in the season, bringing 2 of the same survivor. Yeah, there's things here that will cause you to get penalties. It's that simple. That simple.
I do gotta say though, as someone who works with a couple different organizations, it's interesting to see how often you see people sometimes will bring in, whether it be banned perks against specific killers or banned perks in general or banned items, add-ons. Sometimes you have like a miscommunication where 2 people will have the same perk, where it's like 2 lives or things like that. So interesting here. Oh, remember I mentioned the clown. I love my humongous humorous friend. I just really wish he got more love when it came to the killer side. But yeah, man, we've got our humorous friend the clown out. I think it's a really good choice here for that, honestly. Again, especially with the fact that you are generally working around some bigger loops, some loops that are generally a little bit, notoriously survivor-sided. The ability to be able to slow down those survivors with your, with your bottles, really good. Kind of surprised to not see a increased bottle count, especially on a Batum preschool. Instead, we got the, we do see the bleach, which is pretty common. Of course, going for the longer effect of both how long it affects you as well as how long the actual cloud effect is there. And ooh, this is going to be a basement hook to start the game. What's huge here is not only is it a basement hook, it's the basement of the basement, and it's the basement of the basement that's within your corrupt side of the map. That's a huge first hook to start your game.
Yeah, that allows him to walk away for a second and still be able to get back and trap him down there if he needs to.
Yeah, we do see actually, we saw an aura reading there. Not sure if that is from an undying, I'm guessing it has to be. Or a object of the obsession, but we see some aura coming in, helping around the tile here, able to get the hit. Now here's going to be important because, now you're going to break away from tiles and say you actually see some movement behind you here. That is going to be the Yui. I believe that was the Yui. Yeah, it's the Yui there. Able to build a little bit of distance. Yep, really nice if you can get this pallet out of the way here. I think it's also going to be really important for our killer here. No, don't do... Okay, gonna go ahead and I was gonna say really important for a killer to leave those doors up to trap those survivors in. Although I understand why maybe at that point let you get here into the basement a little bit quicker. Really big here though, because we see the save did not come in time before the second hook. And I'm gonna go for the pick here. That's actually really smart because you don't have to worry about the borrowed time.
God, that was awesome. He even waited
really
for the grab. That was amazing.
So you see a lot of patience in there. We'll have to double check at the end to see if we would have had to have worried about a borrowed time from our save here. But that's huge because not only did the save not come in before second stage, but you were able to come in and secure the slug and then re-secure your down to be able to get the elimination here. We do see a repressed alliance coming into play here. Kind of an interesting tactic, I would say, to go with the repressed alliance.
That was truly huge.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, nice little download too. Honestly, I'm really liking the clown play here by our killer thus far.
I liked both of their off-meta choices so far. They've been an Oni and a clown, and being kind of dominant with both of them. Just not very common. You can see multiple off meta killers and still be strong with them, you know?
Yeah, especially because Clown's kind of your stereotypical M1 killer, you can say, although obviously it has the power with the slowdown of being able to slow down the survivor around loops and stuff. But the Oni being a killer that all on his own kind of requires.
That's right. They actually played Nemi first. My mistake.
Oh, Oni was DKD's killer, wasn't it? Yeah. But even Nemi, right? Nemi's a killer that you really don't see because it hasn't really been allowed as much other comp yet, because still a very new killer, and you got a lot of other competitive organizations kind of wanting to see what the balance would look like for Nemesis on a competitive scene. So we're just now seeing Nemesis come out, and then again, Clown coming out here too. So I struggle not saying that Nemesis is an M1 because basically the M1 rules apply, but an M1 style killer on top of the Clown here. You gotta love seeing the two options. But again, this is kind of, I would say, more typical of what we can probably expect to see coming out, which is your atypical non-pip or your non meta picks, I think, coming out on Batum, because I know we do have a team that has Batum as their #1 home pick, right?
No.
Or am I tripping?
You're tripping.
I'm tripping. That's tough.
I actually had 2 teams ask me to remove Batum from the map choices because, and I quote, "No competition should have Batum preschool in it." But I also happen to know for a fact that most people feel the same way about Hawkins, and DBE is currently has Hawkins as one of its 4 map choices. So
yep. Well, I think that might though more be of like an ode to the like seeing off the ship. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I just think it's because most of the maps are broken right now.
That is part of it too, and because Ghostface has popped up a couple times in DB, and Ghostface was on Larry's, but now Larry's is disabled. So bugs in my Dead by Daylight. I know, hard to believe. But I mean, again, I hate to kind of feel like I'm going with the typical really strong Clown play, but really, you've seen here. I think the important thing from our killer is like not a lot of wasted time, right? Not only in as far as moving from hook to putting pressure on gens and stuff like that, but also like most of the bottles that have been thrown have like either not missed, or in cases like that, it's like a yellow smoke, you know what I mean? But otherwise, every bottle that's thrown has been thrown with a purpose, and I feel like pretty much every bottle is hit. I think really like a really nice, strong performance from the Clown here, and I love when you see like non-typical killers not only show up in the competitive scene, which of course we get to see. Oh, and another snatch!
2 grabs! Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which of course, Vigos allows kind of us to see less meta killers, obviously with the ability to only be able to use each killer twice. But being able to see them come out and have very strong performances, you just love to see it. And you're going to see here, I mean, I think at this point, I think after the 2K, I believe, had pretty well secured the win condition here for Demise. But we see here at this point, I think you do it right? You continue this round out as if it wasn't decided. Try and see if you can shut things down here. Oh, at this point we're just showing off our ruin on the stream. Okay, I see you, friend. Showing her off a little bit. But yeah, at this point, she's going to be kind of about securing up the last elimination here. We do see our survivors did a good job of splitting up the gen pressure as far as you don't really have like a 4 gen anywhere. Unfortunately, though, weren't able to keep these survivors up and running. We do see a sacrifice here, though, which means potentially maybe we have a Yui standing on hatch. But even with a Yui on hatch, going to allow more than enough points for our team here to be able to move on with a win in our preseason matchup here between DKD and Demise. And again, I think this is going to be one of those things where if we see Batum have to be used, I think other than the Blight game. I think that's kind of typical of what we'll see if Batum has to be used because of some of the desync issues and stuff going on. It's just going to be more of your M1 or your off meta killers. So definitely you love to see a good diversity in the killer pool for Demise here, showing, hey, not only are we good at the killers we brought out so far, as far as what you've seen is what you get, and you don't have to worry about just the meta killers, but hey, you also got to worry about our clown being pretty good. Our nemesis is pretty good. Would also make me wonder what kind of grasp they have on, say, like a new killer like a Pinhead too. So
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to cutting loose the Pinhead. I know he's technically available as it is right now, but we actually haven't even added in what add-ons are available, so we don't know exactly what he's gonna be, what we're gonna allow to be used, so therefore I don't think anyone's using him as a result. But technically speaking, he's not one of our banned killers anymore, so I'm excited to see a Pinhead in comp and see how just not viable he is, because that's all I heard about Pinhead when he was coming out, was he's not a viable comp killer, and yet his kill rate in pubs is what, 80%? Isn't that what we saw?
almost 60%. Yeah, is it 59?
60%? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Now I would be curious to see, because some of that, of course, is going to equate in the first couple weeks there when there were a lot of crashes being caused by chain hunts being activated and stuff. But even still, I would say, even from like my personal experience, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to say I have like the highest of MMR or anything, but in higher like MMR queues, like say when I'm queuing up with some of our friends who do some competitive DBD, when I'm playing with them, we'll see some Pinheads from time to time. And I would say that Pinhead, again, I feel like offers a very interesting, I think, third little layer, or I shouldn't say third layer, but just extra layer with the configuration, as far as, do we need to worry about, is there miscommunication of who's going for the box? Now all of a sudden there's an inopportune chain hunt, which starts to snowball. So I think there's a lot of things as far as that goes on, which will be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking forward to getting into the regular season and seeing the strategies around who and what to bring, when and where, and I'm stoked, especially because I don't know much about the vast majority of these teams. There's like maybe 4 teams in here that I know a lot about, and the rest of them are all basically new to me.
Yeah, we've definitely got some rosters that are newer, or some teams that are like pieced together from some older competitive teams getting together. But I think a lot of mostly just like newer teams, again, teams like Arctic Wolves and some teams like Demise, who have some experience and some I almost said relations, but that sounds really bad.
Yeah, that sounds
connections.
horrible.
Yeah, some connections though in the competitive scene. So even though they might not even though they might be new, I think they're gonna be coming in with a lot of a good grasp and like knowledge of the competitive scenes. They can at least bring in some groundwork to start with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Q, I hate to do it, but we're gonna go ahead and roll on out of here. I don't think we're doing interviews this time, only because, as you can see, my camera just went away. You see my little cat there shaking his tail.
No worries.
And there's some stuff going on behind the scenes I need to address very soon. So
we do have another matchup though back on our channel tomorrow, correct?
We do, at 9 o'clock, and I believe it's you and Vader hosting, right? So we're gonna see the real OG
duo.
Vader back, and I guess we're kind of excited to see you come back too.
Yeah, buddy.
But let's go ahead and say that Demise is convicted of murder, and wrap it up. Q, you want to take us out?
Yeah, I appreciate everyone coming in and hanging out with us tonight, coming in and enjoying some competitive Dead by Daylight. It's been kind of fun watching the competitive scene continue to grow. So if you enjoy, make sure you're sharing with your friends. Let them know what's up. We're starting up our season. We're trying to be the place to go to as far as especially during the weekend and the weekend as well. So tell somebody to tell somebody to tell somebody about it. We'll be back here tomorrow night. Like our our judge Rambo said. We'll be back at 9 tomorrow. Myself and Vader. Make sure you're here. And until we catch you either tomorrow or whenever the next time we catch you here on this channel, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard, and love harder. It's your boy Q, my homie Rambo.
Peace out.
Signing out. I'm here. What, they lost? Pocos is a hit that's like through a window, but that's just what happens from that's. But yeah, Poco's hit is like those generous hits through windows and stuff that sometimes don't look like they're hits. Pocos. They're just mad. Yeah, I would probably have somebody at some point chat with their team captain though and just be like, yo, like we can't like be having some sort of issue every time you guys lose. Like, yeah, I was gonna say it'd be whoever, yeah. As I know you have somebody who's like that's their role. Um, but I think that's important because like I was saying when we were kind of getting ready to fire up, like one thing I've noticed um between how the players work with Will and the crew over at DBD and how people the same like competitors will um work with Dyer and the team over at DBE, like because Dyer like is very much adamant about like putting the dick on the table and being very much putting the foot down. Like people fall in line with him now. You don't have teams showing up late. You don't have teams like delaying time in between matches. You don't have teams not showing up for bands and picks and bands and stuff like that. Um, it sucks at first because you have teams who aren't who are kind of used to other organizers allowing the players to run the shit. But like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, but with our production quality and with our like just crew that we have, like, there's no reason that we shouldn't be one of the top leagues by the end of 2022. So either you can fall in line with like what we want to have here with our product, or you can go somewhere else because I can guarantee you we will be able to find we can find teams to fill your spot. Yeah. Right.